To answer this question, I'm going to do a director's commentary over my film so that you can see exactly what I'm discussing. We decided to use Warner Brothers as our production company because it's produced both noir and neo-noir films, including one of my personal favourites, The Big Sleep. We used the noir convention of featuring what are now old-fashioned streetlights when making the production company logo to reference the project's steer and to let the audience know what genre film they're about to watch. We decided to subvert the usual plain block film title that noir films normally use to update it to modern times and mark it out as a neo-noir film. We were also inspired by the movie poster from Double Indemnity, which uses soft feminine colours, and so decided to use this and make the font a soft pinky white colour to show the danger females possess. We used the noir convention of slowly revealing the femme fatale by having Zoe walk away from the audience and turn slightly towards them, which was inspired by Lynn Bracken's entrance in LA Confidential. We used the noir convention of having a long deep shot of a corridor as a slight nod to the origins of noir and to set the scene. Originally we decided not to use a narrator, despite it being the convention of noir, think Walter Ness monologue in Double Indemnity, but we found it essential to tie our film together and make it come full circle. We also had the narrator speak fast-paced with a slight London accent, because we noticed speedy, fast talking is a convention of noir. One example that springs to mind is the conversation between Walter and Phyllis when they first meet in Double Indemnity. We decided to subvert the usual convention of noir and having the actors' credits before the action, like in Alfred Hitchcock's Spellbound, because it's quite an outdated way of presenting a film, and our audience research had expressed a dislike of noir films being too old-fashioned, so we decided to do the more modern display of having the actors' names come up on screen as the footage runs. We used a lengthy shot of DCI Jones talking because we noticed that it was a noir convention to have the camera stationary and film a scene for a long period of time. Think Ed's confession about his father to Jack in LA Confidential. However, we subverted it by having the camera go in and out of focus, which is not often done in shots like this in noir, to put our own twist on it. We used modern office equipment like the computer to bring our film into modern times. We noticed that in noirs, the protagonists and anti-heroes are very calm and collected, and above all cool. Think Humphrey Bogart as Philip Marlowe, which is why we made Hawk catch the photos to reference the Man of Steel from noir films. We used the noir convention of police and detectives, but slightly subverted it by having the protagonist be an unofficial detective, just like Brendan in Brick. We did this because we felt it updated our film and would attract modern audiences. We noticed that in noir films they often use angles that are disorientating in order to reveal something to the audience. An example would be the really low shot of John in Spellbound, where he holds the razor and a glass of milk, which is why we include this higher, almost over-shoulder shot. LA Confidential started with night and ended with day to show the happy ending and to get an empathetic response from the audience. We decided to subvert and reverse this by having our film go from daylight to dark to convey the typical all characters are doomed plot that most noir films follow. Noir films can be very black and white, if you excuse the pun, and so they generally show bad things in bad places and good things happening in good places, and so we subverted this with this shot of the church to make our film more realistic. We used the calf as a convention of noir because it looks like a calf you might have expected to find in the 1950s. We noticed in Brick that the film appeared to have been filmed through a colour filter, and so we used this convention of neo-noir and put a filter called Combat over our footage during the editing process. We felt it acted as a visual representation of how the film was neither an old-fashioned black and white noir film nor a bright Blu-ray modern film. I've not analysed a single noir or neo-noir film that didn't use a mirror shot, and so we conformed to this because we thought it was too big a convention and code to ignore. Due to when noirs were set, they didn't have technology like an iPhone, but they did feature the most recent technology at the time, and so we conformed to this and felt it was a good tool for engaging the audience, as most of them will have an iPhone. Most protagonists of noir have many vices, and drinking is almost always one of them. Think John Ballantyne, Walter Neff and Philip Marlowe, the list could go on. So we thought it was crucial to feature Hawk drinking a glass of whiskey, but not put too much emphasis on it, as he is still a good man. We conformed to the noir conventions using urban settings, particularly in this shot with the use of the garages. We liked how Brick made use of the modern drug problems that are facing the world currently, and so decided to feature this in our film. However, we developed this further by using just the drug deal as a catalyst for the rest of the events of the film. This was done to keep the audience guessing about what the film's true underlying themes are. I loved how Double Indemnity uses fades, which show two things happening at the same time, and we love the lighting shot of this alley, so we layered the footage to reference the noir-like fades and to show where the characters are gone. Noir typically aims to distance its audience from all its characters, but we decided to subvert this through Dexter's character by making him likeable and slightly comical. so that the audience will have more of an emotive response when he dies and will help build anxiety during the film's climax. This in turn manages to conform to the convention and code that in noir, no character is safe. In noir, a gang's hideout is normally within an urban setting, and so we subverted this by having the gang's hideout be in a rural barn. We felt due to their age they were more likely to break into an abandoned building rather than be running their own clubs or casinos. Instead of using noir's conventional well-spoken dialect for the characters, we wanted Kane to talk quite commonly to reference modern times and current criminal profiles. We developed the slow reveal of a femme fatale further here by allowing the audience to hear Zoe's voice and footsteps but not see her, to build tension. We conform completely to noir's film's codes and conventions of how a femme fatale's makeup should look by giving a trained makeup artist pictures of femme fatales to work with, which created Zoe's look. Noir films conventionally like to include what seems to be insignificant mise-en-scene, but later turns out to have been a warning sign, and we conform to this by showing a fire alarm in this shot showing there is no escape for Hawk. Cigarettes are a key code and convention of noir and neo-noir, so we felt our film wouldn't be complete without a smoking scene. It also conforms to the code and conventions of a protagonist having vices. Noir films use costumes to reflect the characters' personalities. For example, in Double Indemnity, Walter and Phyllis almost always wear contrasting clothes to show that they are two completely different people. And so we match Hawk's and Zoe's tops in this scene to show that they had an attraction with each other. We conform to noir's convention of matching the time of the day to the mood of the shot, which for the rest of the film outside scenes are now shot at night. We conform completely to the noir code and convention of a good man deteriorating in a downward spiral due to a woman, and this montage is dedicated to that convention and showing how far Hawk has fallen. Here we further develop noir's classic crossfades by using one called Bloom, which fades out with a burning motion. We did this to present the theme of fire to the audience, which becomes increasingly obvious as the film progresses. We left the camera running here, showing the lighter, because we felt it acted as a pathetic fallacy and also conformed to the noir code of showing the audience crucial mise-en-scene that will later be used on in the film. We used this intimate scene because both Brick and LA Confidential shared heart-to-hearts between the protagonist and the femme fatales, and we felt this convention would explain why Hawk acts the way he does and gives him more layers to his personality. We liked in LA Confidential how Bud is extremely protective of women, and so we wanted to reference this through Hawk's reaction to find out Kane has been beating Zoe. The femme fatale normally acts as a catalyst for the events in noir, which is why we conformed to that and used this theme. We use the noir conventions of fades a lot in our film because they allowed us to show the passing of time and reference noir. We noticed that in a lot of film noirs that cars and headlights have been used, for example the ending of LA Confidential and Philip Marlowe's car in the big sleeve outside the bookshop. We felt that we had to include this convention but develop it further by using a modern car. Added sound effects to set atmosphere and tone are codes and conventions of film noirs, and we included the crow cawing to do exactly that. We also felt it could act as a reference to Alfred Hitchcock's film The Birds. We used the slight calm scene of Zoe because we felt that it was a convention from neo-noir films. Think Laura's entrance in Brick in the kimono with the candles and the soft way Lynn carries herself at home, and also acts as a solitary moment of peace for the audience from the drama that is unfolding, and it disorientates them by plunging them straight back into the action afterwards. We liked Brick's use of the tunnel, and we also liked the Big Sleep's use of the urban jungle, and so we felt the alley was a satisfying compromise between the two. We subverted the noir convention that light equals good in this scene by using lamps which created an orange glow, almost like fire. We conformed to noir's conventional portrayal of men who think they can control everything through Kane's menacing approach towards someone he does not know. We conformed to noir's disorientating angles, for example the close-up of the lines on Constance's jacket in Spellbound by using the canted shot reverse shots here. Noir films are usually naturally paced, and so we decided to subvert this and use slow motion for the raise of the gun to increase audience anxiety. Although we enjoyed the ending of LA Confidential, we decided to conform instead to the typical unhappy ending of film noirs, like Double Indemnity for example, because we felt like it was a crucial part of what makes a film noir film noir. Throughout the film, we had conformed to the noir codes and conventions of a soft, atmospheric, lyricless music, but here we decided to subvert that and use the song Watchtower by Devlin, which is a modern song and so determines our film firmly as a neo-noir and will engage with the audience. The music is slightly contrapuntal because we did that so it sort of woke up the audience from what they had just seen, but the lyrics are completely relevant to the film. For example, I can't get no relief.